Hi, and welcome back. This is Manifestiny, and this is day 3. So, yesterday we talked about the foundational 5, which is really the roadmap. When your day gets away from you or the minutia takes over, as we all know it inevitably will, this is how you simply can look at your roadmap and get back on track. It means if you're having a bad day, it doesn't need to lead to a bad week and a bad month. It is really giving you the tools to make sure that you stay on track to achieve your goals and your destiny. Now, listen, we all have personal power, skills, and talents that are exclusively ours. But unless we're channeling that power, it can be erratic, it can be undisciplined, and unfocused. Now is the time that we can seize that by putting into place this roadmap that's going to take us where we really want to be for our lives, for our dreams, for the outcomes that we've put off for way too long. Now, channeling that power is tough and it requires, really going back and looking at it each day and having accountability. You know, it reminds me of two movies actually. One is The Matrix. And I love this movie because, I live with 3 sons and a husband and 2 male dogs. So there's an inordinate amount of masculine energy around me. And so I've grown up really loving all of these action movies and adventure movies. But I really love The Matrix because you see that Neo has all this incredible undeveloped power and potential, but he doesn't know how to use it or what he's supposed to be doing with it until he starts to really invest in himself and trust himself and think about what his destiny is. And in that last scene, where everything just becomes crystal clear and he channels that power, and all of a sudden, he sees the code seamlessly. He sees everything he's supposed to be doing and he's completely in the zone, right? You know what I'm talking about? Now, for those of you who've not seen The Matrix, well, maybe you've seen Frozen. And as much as I love hanging out with my masculine energy family, I also love the feminine energy and I love getting out there with my girlfriends and my goddaughters. And there's a similar example here. If you know the story of Frozen, Elsa has these powers. And in her early life, she's taught to shunt them or hide them and be embarrassed by them, be fearful of it. But you fast forward to that last scene and you realize this is the gift that's necessary. It's needed in the world. It's needed to save her own family. And then in the second Frozen, we realize that not only is she have this incredible gift that she's meant to bring to the world, but actually she is the fifth element. She is a force of nature. And I tell you this because we all have this force of nature inside of us. And it's up to us to really bring it forth. And until you embrace and channel your power, it can actually work against you. And it can certainly make you feel really awful when you're not using something that you know is inside of you. So, if anything, manifestity is really harnessing that power inside of you and channeling it to use to become the best expression of yourself. Now, it's so critical to have a roadmap. It's so critical to actually be able to look at that roadmap when you're off your game. And that's what our objective is here. So today we're going to start with the first of the foundational 5. And I mentioned it yesterday. It's power and energy for an unstoppable future. Now, I know that I have said this is not a diet and it's not, something that is just about how you look, but it is critically important to getting your destiny. If you really want to achieve everything that you're meant to in life, you're going to have the power and energy to do it. You know, choosing great objectives is just as easy as choosing no objectives. So, getting what you want in life is tough. But when you choose great objectives, you sleep well at night. You don't have that stress, that self loathing, that depreciation of yourself because you know that you're capable of so much more. You see, you use so much of your bandwidth on being disappointed in yourself or being stressed over things that you wouldn't feel if you were actually on that path to becoming who you're supposed to be. And that's different for everybody, but you know who it is. I know who I'm supposed to be, right? We all know inside of ourselves, and we got to trust that a little. So before we get started, there are a couple of ground rules that I think are absolutely vital to being successful at manifesting your destiny, whatever that is. Number one, you've got to plan specific and deliberate action 7 days a week. You've got to plan. If you don't plan for your future, you're not going to just arrive there miraculously. That's not the way it works. You've got to be disciplined and focused and have a game plan, which is why I said get a new journal for this so that you can create a new plan. I have journals for my whole life, for like 25 years, maybe longer. And if I go back and try to like embrace that journal, sure, I can get some tidbits and stuff, and it's interesting to go back and look to see where you were. But every month I try to open up a new journal, or every 3 months, depending. I have a journal that I use for the day, and then I have my planner. But I write things down because if you want to get it, you got to plan it. So we talked a little bit about what the foundational five is, and today we're going to dive into the first part of power and energy. But it's important to know that health and fitness are directly correlated to power and energy. you know, and power and energy are directly correlated to having clearer thoughts, deeper focus, and an overall better cognitive process. And once you have that better cognitive process, you're working harder, you're working stronger, you're getting better outcomes. Also, you know, if you look better, you feel better. And it's not about looking like a bodybuilder or a supermodel. It's really about how you show up. And you want to show up as your best self, even for you. You know, in short, if you're not focused on this power and energy, well, you'll be get lucky if you get your outcomes for the week. Never mind creating your destiny for your life, or the legacy you want to leave for your life, or building the business of your dreams. If you don't have this power and energy, and you know this, I'm not telling you anything out of school here. How many people run into that, wall at the end of the week because they don't have the power and energy to keep going, or they get on a roll for a couple of weeks and they don't have the ability to sustain it because it's too hard. We don't want this to be too hard. We want this to be exhilarating. We want this to be a place where you're feeling better, more empowered, sleeping better, less stress every day because you're actually moving towards your unstoppable future. So, no, this is not a diet. This is a way of life. You need to be focused on feeling great, having unstoppable energy, because that is the number one first rule of excellence in anything. So, let's not get caught up in the words. So it's not a diet. It's not an eating plan. Let's not get caught up in those words. Let's get caught up in the meaning of what we're doing. And when we're embracing something that's going to give us incredible power, both mind power, physical energy power, and the ability to sustain going through, tough things. Building anything in life is tough. But if you have that power and you have the energy and you feel great, well, I'll tell you what, it's 1,000 times easier than the person that doesn't have those. So let's get started. Number one, you need the power to go the distance. So today we're going to work on, well, how do we get that power? The first rule of engagement here is plan to sweat. And I know a lot of you guys don't like to do that, but if you don't get your body moving, if you don't oxygenate those cells each day, your brain is not going to be activated. You're not going to be primed. So it's really about priming your body. Plan to sweat a minimum of 5 days a week. That's rule number one. It doesn't really matter what you do. It has to be something. Everybody is different. Every biology is different. I like to mix it up because I get bored. Some days I like to ski, some days I like to run, some days I like to work out in the gym or kickbox or dance, whatever it is, whatever that excites you. Okay, number two. Now, this one, a lot of you guys are going to say, wait a minute. No, I don't want to do that. Hire a trainer. or find an accountability partner. And don't make excuses. Number two is find somebody who's going to get you to where you want to be, have the ability to teach you what you need to learn to get to where you want to be, and don't make excuses. You know, I don't mean do this next week or next month or when you get paid or when you get a bonus. And I know a lot of you are saying, well, listen, gyms aren't even open right now. I can't get with a trainer. Da, da, da. Guess what? You have this little thing called a computer in front of you. You Google best training for running a marathon, best training for losing fat, best training for unstoppable energy, priming exercises. There is so much that's actually free on the internet. I follow a lot of people that I love. I have had a trainer my whole life. I think since I'm probably 15 years old in some area of fitness, whether it was kickboxing or running or I had a couple of knee surgeries, so I had a trainer to rehab my legs. I had cycling trainers. I've worked out with all sorts of weightlifting trainers, stamina trainers for endurance, and, you know, swimming trainers, whatever it is. I love being in that environment. Create that environment for yourself and find a way. As soon as you finish this today, look up what you can do, what it is. There's Navy SEAL training. There's all sorts of fun things, no matter what your interests are. As long as they are moving, you've got to move. This requires moving. So think about what it is that you want, do a little research and start. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to be great to start, but you do have to start to be great and do something. And if you get bored, do different things. But take that initiative to get your blood pumping, to get that oxygen in there. Okay. Number three, create your own challenge. It's amazing that people will, on the first day of the year, say, oh, I want to lose 10 pounds. I want to do this. I want to do that. And by the first 30 days, 98% of all people have left all of their resolutions by the wayside. Don't check in once a year. Losers check in once a year. That's the truth. You're never going to be a winner. The only time that you're checking your progress is once a year. You've got to check in every day, every week, every month. You've got to have benchmarks and you've got to create challenge for yourself. Measure it each day. Be accountable. Have benchmarks. Number four, create your plan. This is where you want to get your journal out, write it down, decide how, decide when, decide for how long, decide with who, decide who your accountability partner is. Okay. And then fifth, commit to doing it. You have to make a commitment to yourself. If you want your dream, if you want to manifest this incredible destiny that I know you have within you, that we all have within us, all of those incredible goals, incredible dreams, and talents that are our God-given rights. But they're only there if you actually manifest them. So now is your time. Remember, choosing great objective is just as easy as choosing no objectives. So commit to learning new things and doing. Commit to doing a little research and making a game plan. And by the way, if you don't like this week's plan, you can do something different next week, but you've got to do it and you've got to make a plan. And number six, and I love this one, make it as important as brushing your teeth. So I, years ago, hired a young woman who was an elite athlete and had an injury. And she was so disciplined and focused. And I just loved her headset. And she knew nothing about hedge funds or Wall Street. And I said to her, come work for me. I said, this is the deal. I'm going to teach you how to do this, and I'm going to teach you this industry. And I want you to teach me how to be really disciplined, great runner. And she did. And today I call her my little sister. Her children are my goddaughters, and I adore her. But I said, how do you stay on your game? How do you go out? She used to run at like 4:30 in the morning, every morning before she got to the office at 7. And I said, how do you do that every day? And she said, well, it's just kind of like brushing your teeth. And it really made me stop because I just thought I am maniacal about oral hygiene. Anyone who knows me knows that. And I just thought, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine not brushing my teeth or, washing my face or doing these things that are just part of our rituals that we do every single day of our life that are good for us, right? You wouldn't think about not brushing your teeth because it's kind of disgusting. And honestly, if you're like one of those people who doesn't brush your teeth, this probably isn't the course for you. But seriously, it's got to be that thought process that gets you moving. And I promise you, you start to do these things, you're going to feel different, you're going to act different, you're going to see results, you're going to see them showing up just by this one little thing that you do each day for 30 minutes. And you know what? I bet you if you start doing it for 30 minutes and you do it for 30 days, you'll find that that 30 minutes went to 45 minutes or an hour. I would almost bet my life on it because I know as soon as I get into a gym, and I start, I'll be there and I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna run a couple miles on the treadmill, or I'm gonna do this, and then I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, I'm here. I'm gonna go work out. I'm gonna go for a swim. I'm gonna go work out with some weights, and I end up being there for an hour and a half. So just get the ball rolling. Momentum will kick in. And that's it for today on Manifestiny. I thank you guys for your time. Thanks for being here. And I'm really looking forward to hearing about how you're manifesting your destiny. And I'd love for you to write something in the chat. I will see you tomorrow and wishing you always life and business on your terms.